MATLAB website, and then let me find that link where it is gone. Yeah, contact support. And here you can create a service request. So I'll share this link as well. So if you want help with installation, with licensing, with bugs or anything like that, you can just reach out on the support team, will help you. Okay, reach out to me if you're interested in curriculum or research. Licensing and stuff, I won't be doing that. Okay, cool. I think most people are here now. Right. So in the last session, what we looked at is, first of all, how do we make a motor? So that's what we saw this morning, right? We saw how to model a DC motor. And then we looked at how to make the controller for that. Let me see if I can find the controller one. So I hope everyone enjoyed the control theory part, because this is my favorite part. So you figure out how to make a controller for a plant model and how to tune the PID gains. And then we just did a very brief thing on Simscape electrical. Okay. So what I want to do now in this session is the same motor that we had in Simulink, we are going to make it in Simscape electrical and Simscape mechanical. And the advantage you'll see is that without knowing any maths, without knowing any differential equations, just put the components in and it works. Okay. So if you want, you can, I mean, I'm not going to do it at the hands-on slow speed. It's all, the files are all in the same folder. So you can just go to the session 4 file and open up the sim mechanics SL02 file. I'm going to make it from scratch just to show you how it works. But yeah, so that's the plan. And then after that, I'll talk to you about Simscape multibody, which I'll just run on my system because it's fast. And then we'll wrap up for the day. All right. So if I go back to my library browser, you might remember that we just saw how to make electrical circuits, right? So another thing that we can do is, if we look at the foundation library inside Simscape, we can start connecting up the electrical side and the mechanical side, and we can make a model of a DC motor without knowing any of the equations. And this is very helpful because sometimes you're making complicated systems, it's not possible to work out what the equations are. In my PhD research, I used to work on hydraulic systems. And for hydraulics, you don't know what the equation is because it's just too complicated how the fluid is going to flow. So in that case, you just make a model in Simscape, software figures it all out. All I have to do is make a controller for it. So let's try to make a motor model first of all. Okay. So we're going to go into the electrical library, electrical elements. And I'm going to use this block. This is the rotational electromechanical converter. And I'm going to drag it out. So I'm moving a little bit faster in this session, but don't worry. I mean, you don't have to do it hands-on. The files are there. You can open it up and get access to the file straight away. So what a rotational electromechanical converter does is it takes an electrical energy one side and it converts it to mechanical energy on the other side. So this is a block, a Simscape block, which has both the blue element and the green element. So this is electrical plus mechanical. So which is exactly what a motor is, right? You can also use this block the other way around. If you turn this as a generator, if you put in mechanical energy, it will be able to generate electrical voltage. So the energy can go both ways. Right now, we are going to drive it from the electrical side. So making a motor is really easy. We just have a resistor and an inductor. And then we have an electrical reference because the motor is grounded. And then we put in basically something like a controlled voltage source. Okay, this is the same thing we made before. It's just I've added an inductor and a motor here. And then I can get a Simulink to PS signal converter, and I can put in a constant voltage block. Okay, so let's say this is 12 volts or something. The values of the resistance, inductance, all that, I can pull again from MATLAB. So if I've declared everything in MATLAB, I can just pull the values from there. So I go into the Simscape, value of resistance becomes R, inductance becomes L, and the motor coefficient becomes K. So all this was in my MATLAB workspace anyway, so I just pull the values out. Right. Now, the concept on the mechanical side is a little bit different. And that's why I just wanted to show this before we get to multi-body. So when we open the library browser, you go to the mechanical components, and let's say rotational elements, you'll find out there's some weird notation here, and this actually matters. So just like for electrical circuits, you have this plus and minus sign. For mechanical circuits, you have C and R. So what this means is C stands for casing and R stands for rotation. So if you have a motor, your casing is connected to the ground and the shaft rotates. This is what it means. It helps you to connect the components in the right direction and basically doing the right thing. Okay, so this is where most people get tripped up, but you just have to remember casing and rotation. That's what C and R mean. And you just apply the forces the right way around. So whatever is my casing, I first have to anchor it to the ground. So I just anchor it. I have an inertia. So I just connect that inertia to the R side because that's the rotor inertia. The value of this is J. That's in my workspace, so it can just pull it out. And then we have a couple more things. So we have friction first of all. So I have to get a rotational friction block. Oh, I probably want the viscous friction here, sorry, not the rotational friction. Rotational damper. So that's basically what the friction is actually doing because it's proportional to velocity. The value of this is B. And then the last thing was we want to measure the speed and we want to see what the input torque is. So you can go to mechanical sensors. You can get a rotational motion sensor and connect it with the same type of notation. So the R side connects to the spinning part, C side connects to the static part. And we can just measure the velocity and convert it to a Simulink signal. Okay, I don't remember, I didn't have to use any equation until now. There's no equations in this. You don't even have to understand the maths at this point. You just have to understand what's inside your components. The last thing I needed is my torque. So I can put in from mechanical sources, I put in a torque source. And this will be actually connected the reverse way because my torque is acting against the rotation. So I just flip it around and connect the C side here and the R side. So this becomes negative torque. And then I can put in some input. If I make a mistake with the torque, then I'll go back and fix it later on. Okay, so that's it. That's basically my whole motor model. We have the voltage source, resistance, inductance, motor, friction, torque, and a motion sensor and inertia. And this is the complete thing. So everything that we studied in 2 hours in the morning, I can make in basically 2 minutes if I understand what the components are. And I don't have to understand what the maths is. I just have to make sure I put the components in the right order. So now if I run this, hopefully it should give me the right answer or the right shape. Okay, I forgot something. So I forgot the solver configuration. So I have to connect one solver configuration somewhere, which we can just do easily. So that error comes because your Simulink doesn't know this is a physical model. You have to connect the configuration block to tell it. And when we run this, we get exactly the right shape coming out as we expected. So you get a rise in the velocity, and when the torque kicks in, you get the fall off. Okay, so that's how basically in Simscape you can connect the electrical components to the mechanical components. And you can do a lot more than that as well. So if you go and look in electrical elements, you will see connections to the thermal library as well. You can have a thermal resistor. And along with rotational mechanical, you can have translational mechanical, which moves backwards and forwards. And then you have connections between hydraulics and mechanical libraries. You also have connections between gas and mechanical or gas and thermal libraries. So especially if you're a mechanical engineer, this stuff is very, very useful. Even for electrical people, you can model battery packs and very complicated systems in this without knowing the equations. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to take both these inputs, separate the output and collapse this into a subsystem like we saw in the morning. And basically what happens at this point is, create this extra port. So what happens is this subsystem now, you can put a controller on it exactly the same way as we did for our DC motor. So if I wanted to control this system, I can just use the same controller that I designed for my DC motor. It will work perfectly with this because this is a plant model. It's just made out of physical components rather than Simulink components. Okay, so any doubts so far or any questions in what we've shown? I know we went through it fast, but I didn't really want to spend too much time on this. Okay, no. Any doubts or any general questions, what you want? Okay, I'm seeing lots of no's. People seem to be happy. All right. So this is how Simscape works. Now, the last thing we are going to look at is how Simscape multi-body works. So right now we were just using these mechanical components as sort of ideal blocks. But in real systems, you actually have multiple bodies moving in multiple dimensions, and you have joints, and you have all sorts of things going on. So for that, we have a special tool, which is known as Simscape Multibody. And Simscape Multibody is an advanced version of Simscape as well. So if you go down in Simscape, you find this multi-body library. And in here, you find a lot of different things. So body elements, joints, gears, couplings, forces, etc. Now, this multi-body can't run in MATLAB online. So we're not going to do this hands-on. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. If you want to use this, you can install it on your computer. So let me show you an example of what multi-body is capable of for a robotics application. And then I'll show you how to make a multi-body model. So again, best place to begin, go to the documentation, type doc Simscape multi-body. So the documentation in MATLAB basically contains everything you need to know. There will rarely be anything that is not in the documentation. Otherwise, you can still find it in the videos and tutorials we put online. So there's a whole bunch of examples here. And inside SimScape Multibody, it teaches you how to create frames, how to create a simple part, how to create a complex part, then how to assemble it all together, and then how to run the whole thing. So before I show you each of these pieces, I'm just going to show you an example of what it looks like when it's running properly. And we'll use this one. So this is the model of a small welding robot, which has been built inside SimScape Multibody. And what it does is it takes its arm to this workpiece, and it's going to weld certain shapes or draw certain shapes on it. And each of these pieces that you will see and the animation that comes out of SimScape Multibody. And I'll explain how the circuit is built after it. The reason it doesn't work online is because you need some nice graphics cards to do this. Okay, so this is what a robot looks like in SimScape Multibody. And you can see it's basically drawing these shapes on a workpiece here. So if you want to design dynamic systems or robotic systems, you can build the entire mechanism inside the multibody, and then you can have the multibody simulation linked up to a control system, also in Simulink. And then you can have the two of them working together like a real system would. And from the controller, you can also generate the C++ code that will go on the real system. So if I just show you the model again, if I go inside the trajectory controller, it's not here. I think we changed the model a little bit. No, sorry, never mind. They've changed the model. This used to be PID control in here, but they've put in some new fancy thing here. Okay. So if I just tell you how it is built, basically once you understand MATLAB, from there you can go and understand Simulink. From there you can go and understand SimScape. And from there you go and understand SimScape Multibody. And so SimScape Multibody is a really advanced tool. I mean, you need to have very, very nice knowledge of all these things before you get to this level. So we've already looked at MATLAB in a fair amount of detail. Simulink, we've spent all day on it. SimScape, I've showed you how it works. For multibody, there's a little bit of additional complication, because not only do we have the components, all the components move in multiple dimensions. And they also have multiple forces acting on them. And they also have joints. So it becomes a very complex mechanical system from top to bottom. And you also need to know mechanical engineering to assemble this kind of CAD model. Okay. Just to get an idea, so how many mechanical engineers are here today? Are there any mechanical people? Or shall I ask, have you used CAD softwares before? Okay, so there's one person there. Right. Okay. So I can only see one person. So I won't spend too much time on it. But basically, what you do is you have the software which are known as CAD softwares, computer aided design. So they have names like SolidWorks or AutoCAD or a few of these. So what you do is you make your design in one of those softwares, and then you can export the entire assembly as a Simscape multi-body model. So you don't make this whole thing inside MATLAB, you actually design it in a proper CAD software, and then you pull it into multi-body. And then the control system development, you basically do it in MATLAB, because that's what MATLAB is very good at. So, I mean, without lingering too long on it, I'll just show you a simple example and show you how it is actually built. Let me close all this. Okay, does everybody know what a double pendulum means? Just yes or no? Okay, a few people know it, few people don't know it. All right. So you all know what a pendulum means, right? Yeah, you all studied a pendulum. Okay. So we'll start from there. Can we find a pendulum model? Okay. Oh, they haven't given an example here. I'll just draw it in print, never mind. Okay. So what happens with a pendulum is you typically have a flat surface and you have like a hinge on that flat surface, somewhere like this. And then from that, you get a straight line, and then you attach a little ball to the end of it. I mean, that's basically what a double pendulum is. Sorry, single pendulum is. So the idea is that because if you do a approximation on this angle theta, you can work out the forces very easily. I hope all of us have done this in physics. So the force acting on this is mg downwards. In this side, perpendicular to this, it's going to be mg sine theta. And if this is a small angle, then this basically approximates out to mg theta. So if your force is equal to mg theta, this is a very, very simple differential equation. Anyone can solve this. And the time period just depends on the length. So it's very, very easy, this problem. And all of us did this in 9th standard. The complication basically happens when you, what you do is you take another string and you take another pendulum and you attach it to this string, like there. Okay, so suddenly even drawing the force body diagram becomes very, very complicated. Because what is happening is, let me just pick a pencil. Yeah. So what happens is this pendulum has its own motion. And this string is also going to pull down on this pendulum in various ways. And then there is this own weight of this pendulum. So this equation becomes coupled to this equation. So this is a second order equation. This is a second order equation of motion. And when they couple together, it becomes a fourth order system. So fourth order is, I mean, basically the solution becomes very complicated. And you can still do it, but the more you keep on adding below, every time the order of the equation will keep on going up. And it gets more and more complicated to do this. So if I show you the model of a double pendulum in Simulink, you'll see it looks quite ugly actually. So this is the model of a double pendulum inside Simulink. And you can see the equations are getting very ugly, and then you have to do lots of additions and subtractions and taking the circuits here and there to basically figure out how it should work. But what Simscape Multibody allows you to do is, because you don't have to worry about equations in Simscape, you can just go on connecting these blocks directly to each other. So if I had to go from single pendulum to double pendulum, I could get there. If I had to go to 3 pendulums, I won't even be able to do the mathematics because it just becomes too complicated. You can't make this model anymore. So even Simulink, which is this powerful tool, it fails at that point because we can't do the connections easily enough. But with Simscape Multibody, all you have to do is connect the joint, connect the body, connect the joint, connect the body, and the whole thing just works easily. So I'll show you a double pendulum, and then I'll show you how to get to a much more complex system from that. Let's run this. So this is what a double pendulum looks like. And you can see the motion is very complicated for this. It's not like a normal pendulum motion. So it goes to one side, it does something, then comes back, then does something here. Because the motion of this guy is being added to this guy. So it's not the simple pendulum motion that we all know. Right? Is everybody following me so far here? Yeah. So you can already see how this is much more complicated than a single pendulum, right? It becomes much more complex because these two systems become coupled together. So I have no idea how to make the Simulink model for this. It's too complicated. I really don't know how to do it. But with Simscape Multibody, let me just delete the Simulink model. With Simscape Multibody, all we have are joint and then some linked body and then a joint and then another link. So I can literally copy paste this and make this a 4 pendulum model if I want to. And then I copy paste again. And then I just connect up these bodies one below the other. If I run this, it will do it for a 4 pendulum system. Oh, there's some labeling issue. I'm just going to delete this. Okay, so you can see some totally weird motion going on there. I have no idea how someone could even model this. Down here, it's completely chaotic. I mean, it looks just strange. And there's no way we could work out the mathematics for doing this by hand. But if you connect this in the multibody, the software figures out the mathematics. And that's the advantage of doing all this. Because whatever inertia and frames are coupled, it feeds up the motion and down the motion. And you don't have to worry about the maths and all this complexity. Okay. Can be hinged by pseudo-forced first pop to no motion of second move. Yeah, so you can do it for 2 very easily. But when you try doing it for the third one, your equations become just crazy. And the fourth one, it becomes even worse. So the problem becomes exponentially worse the more bodies you add. Because Newton's laws are actually very bad at doing this kind of calculation. So Simscape uses something known as Lagrangian mathematics. And that actually tracks the energy inside the system rather than the forces. So it's a different way of doing computations, and it's much more powerful for this type of solution. So, I mean, if you're not 4th-year mechanical engineers, like I'm not even going to bother with Lagrangian mathematics. It's totally different to what you learn in school and in first 2 years. Because if you try calculating the pseudo forces from all this, you just go crazy. You won't get anywhere. But if you do it with energy solutions, it comes out quite easily. Okay, so how do we assemble all this? That's the question, right? The best way to learn that is you type doc simscape multibody when you install the full MATLAB. You have to do it in the desktop version. Open up the simscape multibody documentation and then just click on each of these links one by one. Click on the get started link. And there are tutorials inside here. So we don't have an online course for this because it doesn't run online. But what you can do is you can open the documentation and then go through this one by one. And it will teach you how to set up the multibody models. So how to set up the joints, how to set up the frames, how to set up the bodies, how to create them, how to model the forces. It will teach you step by step. And this is something which I'm basically going to give you as homework. I'll tell you what the basics are right now. But we're not going to go through all this because people can't do it hands-on and you won't remember it anyway. So basically, if I open up a new model, new model, no. What we saw in Simscape is you do a few basic things, such as get a solver configuration and uh, the base and all these things. In Simscape multibody, you have to start in a very special way. So the first thing you do in Simscape multibody is you go inside this frames and transforms, and then you get a world frame. So this is where your world is anchored. You have to create a 3D world, and this is the point where everything is anchored from. So you create a world frame. You also go into utilities and you get a mechanism configuration block. So this is like solver configuration, but for multibody. And then you also have to get a solver configuration block. So you get a solver configuration and you connect it all together. So this is where you start. And now from here, you can connect any body or any joint that you like, basically. So suppose that I just wanted to make a pendulum, like the one that we had before. What we could do is we could go to joints and maybe we could ask for this kind of revolute joint. Revolute joint is something you can rotate around like this. You also have other kinds of joints here. You have cylindrical joints, which is up and down motion. Prismatic joints, kind of similar, but no rotation. Spherical joints, such as what is in our shoulders, so ball and socket, and various other kinds of joints are there. So I'll get a revolute joint. And you see again, this notation is there, B and F. So just like in our mechanical system, we had C and R, in our electrical system, we had plus and minus. Here, this notation means base and follower. So you connect the base to the world frame and follower is whatever happens to come after this one. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a cuboidal body maybe, and I'll just attach it here. Let's see what it does. So I'll get a brick solid and I'm just going to attach it here. And a brick solid is something you can go in and change. So let's say this is 0.1 meter broad, 0.1 meter deep, and 1 meter long. So this is the shape that we have built. And right now I've just attached it to this joint. Okay, there is no forces, there is no nothing. It's just a body right now. When I run this, we can see the body just appears and it's connected about its midpoint. So every body by default is connected from the midpoint. If you want to shift it down and connect it from the top, then you basically have to put in some coordinate transformation. So that's called a frame shifting basically. So you have to shift this down by half the length. So what do? I go to library browser, I go to frames and transforms, and then I do a rigid transform. So I need a rigid transform to shift down this block by half a length. Let me rotate this so this makes sense. And I'm going to shift it down uh, by, I think it was 0.5 meters. Okay, it's gone the opposite way. It should be minus 0.5 because I wanted to shift it down. So I'm shifting it minus 0.5 because I wanted to go downward direction. And now you'll see this is my world frame joint. You can click on anything, it will tell you what it is on the left hand side. So my world frame, here is my revolute joint, and my body's center of mass is connected half a meter down from this. So the whole body is shifted down. Okay, almost at the end. Now all we can do is we can set the initial condition to some small angle. Try to figure out where that is. Maybe I'll set it to 30 degrees or something. And then we can try to figure out if it moves. No, that doesn't want to move. So let me just look at the pendulum example. It's easier then. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out, how they've connected this. Okay, sorry, I forgot to add one base body at the top. So what they've done is they've actually put in a base at the top, then connected it to a joint, then connected a string and a bob at the end. So that's the only difference. You can open up this example and check it out yourself. So when you run this kind of thing, you can see this is actually a small cylindrical body, and the joint is attached inside this one. So the joint is there. You can see the joint moving. So you make a small cylindrical base and you attach the joint inside it. And then the rest of the string actually moves along with it. So that's basically how SimScript multibody works. And then if you just connect these up one after the other, you can add in forces from outside. So you can put in external force or spring force or contact force or anything. And when you build up the whole model, then that gets you to the model of something like that full robot. So it's a little bit complicated. It's an advanced tool. But I've just given you an overview of what you need to do. So these three components you need, and then you just go on connecting base to follower and using these transform frames. So if you want to learn this properly, you just go to the documentation and do it hands-on, step by step. It's kind of hard to teach this one over the internet because it doesn't work online. Okay. Any questions at this point? Otherwise, we can probably just wrap up for today then. Or anything else you wanted to learn because we have some time left, or anything else you think I didn't cover properly, you just let me know. Okay, no. Yeah, I think everyone's had a long day, and the weather is nice outside, so you can go and have a couple of hours of sunlight. Okay, great. So I hope this workshop was useful. It tried to teach you a lot. Like this is several years worth of engineering education in 2 days. So you did really great. All the files and the documentation stuff is there. And if you want to learn anything, you just reach out to me. I'll help you figure it out. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thanks everyone. If there's anything, just let me know. I can stick around for another 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Good evening. Bye. You can leave if you want to now. We're finished basically. The feedback form is there. I think you can just share it.
Good afternoon, Dr. Dhum. I am Anupam.
Good afternoon, sir.
So you are closing now?
Yeah, sir. I think everyone's had a long day now.
No, it's
But Body anyway, we can't teach online easily.
yeah,
Thought
no,
we'll wind up for the day.
no issue. So it would be better if you joined at the validity session at 4 o'clock tomorrow, if possible. We
Okay,
have
sir. I'll try. I think I have to go out tomorrow afternoon, but I'll try if I'm here. I'll join.
yeah, for I think we will start at 4 o'clock and
Okay.
and we'll close at 4:30 itself.
Okay. Great.
So it would be very. I think the students have learned a lot of things from you, right? So
Yeah, I mean, certainly they've covered a lot of material 2 days.
yeah, and students, you want to ask directly, you can ask the. I think you can unmute yourself, unmute yourself and ask.
Yeah, one thing I'll just say, I mean, this is thanks to your teachers only, Anupam sir, Anand sir, Priyanka ma'am. This content that you're getting, right, it's the same stuff that we teach at MIT, at Stanford, at Caltech, anywhere. So this is what you're getting is cutting edge content. There's nothing else higher than this that anyone is getting in the world. So, I mean, this is all due to your teachers who organized this whole thing and then called us here. What I would ask you to do is go through the files we have shared and then go through the online courses because, again, your institute has invested in that to give you access. So if you want to learn, there's nothing stopping you. You can just go and do the course, get the certificate, and then you can use it in your CV and your job applications. Otherwise, just reach out to me separately if you need anything else.
Excuse me, sir, could you please share your email if we want to approach to you privately for some other things as for us related to academics only?
Yeah, I'll put that. So as I said, no support or licensing queries. that you can put on the website for research and curriculum, I can answer.
Yes, sir. Related to that only, sir, strictly.
Okay. Great. So I hope this was useful to all of you. So we've looked at machine learning, deep learning, image processing, signal processing, ordinary differential equations, control systems, physical modeling, and multi-body. That's basically a semester's worth of learning there. So really well done on paying attention. And you've been a great audience.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.
I think if anyone from the participant, if anyone want to give the feedback for the math work session, then it would be very good, great for I think math work as well. So, any participant want to give some feedback?
So I think
Sir, the sessions of Dr. Chandil were very much out of the cutting edge, I would like to say. So they were very much informative and they were great. They were just great.
Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed them. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone? Any other participant? I think
they're typing in the chat, sir. It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
So I want to thank from IIIT Kota side to Dr. Dhruv for giving us such a wonderful session for for the 2 days, right? And I hope in future also we will do some more things.
But definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Dhruv, for wonderful sessions.
Thanks.
As you can see from the feedback also, our participants have enjoyed and they have gained a lot of knowledge through you, through MATLAB, and really appreciate the time and effort that you have given to conduct this workshop. And I would also request you to join us for valedictory tomorrow, even if it is for 5 minutes. Please come. Please join at 4 o'clock.
Sure.
And I think if anybody does not have any other query, we can just end.
Great. Thank you very much, ma'am. It was really nice and one of the best attendees I've seen so far this year.
Online is a little difficult, but still we managed. I think you have managed really well.
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Everything was organized perfectly. It's great. Great. Thanks very much. And yeah, have a nice evening.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Partha, please see the recording session.
Attendance and feedback.
Ma'am, the attendance and feedback form are shared both.
Okay. Recording to stop. You have stopped the recording, right? Now stop the recording.